not just Nigeria, Africa, as a matter of fact. The radio industry in Africa has been over the years steadily growing, and it's beautiful to see where we are right now. And it's all because you make it worth the while. So thank you so much for, keeping people like us in the job. Welcome to the show. I'm Gabriella. We've come to the 14th day. Oh my goodness, how could I forget today was Valentine's Day? Happy Valentine's Day to you. We'll come to that later. But let's get right into the conversation on this hour. Let's talk about transition to renewable energy in Nigeria. So, of course, you do know renewable energy has been quite a conversation for a while now in these parts of the world. And, when we talk about that, we're talking about, collecting renewable resources that are, naturally replenished on a human time scale. Some part of the world has climbed and are still climbing, in that journey to the full transition to renewable energy. But where are we really in Africa? And where are we in Nigeria? Can we survive the global energy transition? So I have a guest with me in the studio. He is CEO All On, Dr. Wiebe Boer. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you right here in the studio.
I think it's my second time here in this studio. Mm-hmm. As you know, I'm in Nigeria Info in Lagos all the time.
So if you listen to Power Solutions on Thursdays, this is Dr. Wiebe Boer you listen to at 1:30.
I'm an aspiring OAP, but I still don't have the status. So
you're getting
I'm
there.
trying, but I figure if I've done it on two different stations, maybe I'm getting there.
Yeah, you are.
All right, good.
Very soon.
Good.
Who knows?
Okay.
Maybe by the end of the year, you'll be winning OAP of the year or something.
Maybe Oyibo OAP of the year.
Yeah, maybe. That would be a thing,
Yeah, that could be a thing.
Yeah, we could make that happen.
New category. All right.
You're welcome. Welcome to the conversation. All right, so let's jump right into it. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation as well. The phone lines are open. If you've got questions, you've got comments you would like to share, you can do so. The numbers to call are 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003. You can also call 0817 923 0007 or 0817 923 0009. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 030 6416. We're streaming live on Facebook and Twitter, so you can go watch us on there. Ask your comments at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH on Facebook or Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. So, Dr. Wiebe Boer, where are we in Nigeria when it comes to renewable energy?
So we aren't really anywhere, to be honest. Nigeria has abundant sunlight. Okay, actually, let me step back, because renewable energy also includes hydropower. Mm-hmm. So if you include the dams on the Niger River in Niger State, then that's actually about 1/3 of our on-grid energy mix. Many people often forget that when they're talking about renewable energy, but that obviously is also renewable energy. So in that regard, if you take that percent compared to the full on-grid energy mix, it's not bad. But when you consider that we also have about 40,000 megawatts of power being generated by diesel and petrol generators, and only 200 megawatts of solar off-grid, only 200.
Wow.
It's actually, we're really, really far behind. And that's 200 megawatts after 5 years of 23% a year annual growth. So it started really small and it's growing fast, but it's really not fast enough considering the abundant sunlight we have everywhere in Nigeria.
And why do you think we're still where we are? It's a question of Nigerian, government or people not being accepting enough of renewable energy.
Well, this is actually one area that in the last 5 or so years, the Nigerian government has actually done very well on. And the policies that have been put in place, the support structures, the enabling environment, they've actually done really, really well through the Ministry of Power Rural Electrification Agency. So while most people are focusing on all the news around the grid, which is always one problem or the other, the off-grid renewable sector is actually growing. And part of the reason it is growing as fast as it is because of those government interventions. So it's certainly not the government. But what it is, first of all, the typical Nigerian doesn't know about, let's say, solar power. It's just not something that's really been prevalent in this economy, for a long time. And most people, their awareness and sort of interaction with solar energy has been maybe, government or donor sponsored, like street lighting programs or sort of those sorts of solar programs, which often fail. And so there's this impression that solar doesn't really work.
Right.
But then also, everyone has grown up, like for generations, we've grown up in, yes, I grew up in Nigeria, remember? We've grown up in Nigeria with diesel generators, and we're just used to it. And you understand it when you know where you put the fuel, you turn it on, you control it, It powers what you need to power. When you're done, you turn it off, and it's easy to understand because you can hear it, you can see it. With solar, it's okay. You just put these things on your rooftop, you attach some wires to something in your house, and suddenly, voila, there's power. And then the sun goes down, and then if you don't have a battery, then there isn't power. But there's no noise, there's no, you know what I mean? So it's almost like we're so attached to our generators that making that switch is difficult. And then also, I think availability and cost. Solar and the battery systems that go with them, if you want to, run 24/7, has been quite expensive. Those prices are coming down dramatically. Solar panels are 90% cheaper than they were 10 years ago. Batteries are also coming way down in cost. And generators are basically stagnated. There's not any new technology. They're basically the same cost. Then obviously diesel prices are going up. So the economics now of solar systems is relatively the same now as a generator. And so I think we're going to start seeing a big takeoff.
So that means a lot of people still do not know, like you mentioned, the awareness is still not there. Because again, a question I was going to ask was, what really is the cost of this renewable energy, and how can, the average Nigerian, key into this? So what do you think we can begin to do in that regard to see more Nigerians learn about, the benefits of renewable energy, also considering the health hazards that, using, fumes, diesel, petrol, etc. has been causing over the years? How can we get the average Nigerian to see the benefits of renewable energy and begin to key into it?
Yeah, well, I think one thing is just the awareness, and obviously the partnership Olon has with Nigeria Info, with the Power Solutions show on Nigeria Info, and then also Wazobia and so on, is helping. It gets a lot of people to hear about all the innovations and so on. But a lot more work has to be done on that, because again, it's still not that known, and the Nigerian market is very big. But the ultimately it's about cost, right? So you mentioned health hazards. So I think for the typical Nigerian household or small business, there's an awareness that there's a health hazard around, a diesel or petrol generator. The environmental hazards, I think, is less of a concern in Nigeria. I think there's many other things people worry about, but I don't think that's what they're worried about. So I think for solar, it can't just be that we say, oh, it's better for the environment, it's better for this. It has to be, is it affordable and it accessible? And that's what we're working on. And so there's solar products are available in kind of many scales, right? There's the kind of mass market segment, which is called solar home systems. These can be as small as 10 watts, which can basically maybe power a couple of light bulbs, up to, the solar home system. It can be up to like 500 watts. And with that, you can power a couple of fans, a TV, charge your laptop, charge phones, et cetera, and maybe even a small fridge at that amount. And the cost, the upfront costs, are slightly higher still than, say, a small, Beta, my neighbor, generator. But what the companies are now doing is they're saying, okay, look, we understand the upfront cost may be a hindrance, so pay a deposit and then pay for the rest of the unit over time. And so then it means that you can spread out the payments over 1 year or 2 years. And then considering that every month you're not buying diesel anymore, that you're not repairing your generator because they always break down, the only cost you have is that monthly payment for your solar system, and then after 1 or 2 years you actually own it, and then going forward essentially you have free power. So it's really to have that vision that you can say, look, I'm gonna make this sacrifice for a year or two, and I'm gonna make this transition, and then after that 2-year period, it's essentially you have free power, and then all your neighbors are wondering what's going on and all that. That's at the low end, and then the sort of mid segment is the solar energy system segment, and that's like half of that's like 500 watts to say 10 kilowatts, and it's basically like a larger version of the solar home system. And that would be for maybe like a small clinic, a small pharmacy, a small shop, or like a middle-class household. And again, the upfront cost of the unit can be a bit too high, especially let's say you already have a generator and you don't want to put that capital outlay. So the companies in this space like Arnergy, you can actually go to them and say, okay, look, I want to get this on a lease-to-own basis. So you're only paying, a certain amount every month that is probably less than what you're paying for your diesel and servicing your gen. And then over a period of time, you eventually own it. So there's a lot of different business models and products that are coming into the market that make it actually affordable. Accessibility is still an issue because we're a very big country. And so there's, most of these companies are still not at large scale. And so it could be that in some locations, you can't easily find the products. But most of them, they do deliver to almost every corner of Nigeria. Those are all, issues that we're working to address.
Right. Now, let's talk about the cost of transitioning, to renewable energy. Look at countries like the top countries in the world that have transitioned to renewable energy, like China, for example. See what they've done over the past years. How long do you think it's going to take us in Nigeria? Judging by some of these things you've mentioned already, awareness, etc. How long do you think it will take us to get to that point where we can say, yes, we have, to some large degree, transitioned to renewable energy?
Right. I think, every country has a sort of an energy balance. Nigeria has a lot of natural gas, and natural gas is a much cleaner power source than diesel or petrol generators. And so I think the energy mix in Nigeria isn't necessarily ever going to be fully renewable, because with all our gas resources and how clean gas can burn, and it's getting even, the technologies make it even cleaner. And then, the high dense areas in southern Nigeria, especially like Lagos and so on, where are you going to have the land to put the solar panels, etc.? So there's certain parts of Nigeria that I think part of the energy transition is to cleaner fuels. And then solar is the the energy source for, other parts of the country, probably, rural areas, the north, and so on. But I think we have to look at it as an energy mix. And it has to be done strategically and so on. But I think if right incentives were put in place and the right disincentives, we could actually get there within 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years?
It's not complicated. Short? It is not complicated.
Really?
It's not that hard.
I find that really surprising.
Our power system has failed not because the Nigerian government doesn't know what to do, or not because we don't know how to run power companies, and we don't. It's basically an electricity grid is over 100-year-old technology. This is not. There's nothing new about it. It's not that hard. It's just there's other factors that are getting in the way, and if those are addressed, then this will be closed.
And do you think that can be addressed? Do you think those issues, those other factors you mentioned, do you think they can be addressed within 3 to 5 years?
So do you want me to suggest what the factors are?
Well, you could.
Well, I think that a big part of it is just that let's just put it this way, when diesel, there's about let's say $12 billion a year spent on the diesel that powers the generators in Nigeria.
Wow.
And that's a lot of money. And diesel delivery, it's pretty easy to skim off it. And so there are a lot of interests that don't want that to end. If you fix the power sector, that's no longer needed, right? Now, if we could reverse that, the psychology of that, and say, you know what, instead, what if we spent $12 billion a year on expanding the grid or adding off-grid? In 10 years, we would actually have the 200,000 megawatts we need to power Nigeria. So I think it's just a choice we have to make, and just say, look, okay, guys, we have to stop this. Let's
do what we need to do.
Yeah, we know the problem. This has been a nice sort of racket, but let's move on and build a nation.
Let's hope that could actually happen,
But the numbers are really big. 12 billion is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Dollars.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Annually.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'd like to join the conversation. The phone lines were ringing earlier, so if you do have questions or comments you'd like to share, please do. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. You can also call 0817-923-0007 or 0817-923-0009. We're also streaming live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH on Facebook, on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. You can also watch us on there as you drop your comments. So yeah, okay, the phone lines are ringing. I was just going to hold that thought, and then we'll get back to that. Good afternoon.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, rather.
Right, go ahead.
And good afternoon to your guests.
Thank you.
Yes, we are talking about renewable energy and how much awareness we have in this part of the world. First and foremost, I'm Vincent, calling from Alakre.
Go ahead.
Some days ago, I was just looking for a rocket flying over my head, anyway, or over our head. So I paused and I was just looking at it. And then my thought was like, some years back, I was admitted into the university as a gas engineering student. And I graduated today as an economist. Then I look at the research and I was like, this is what I'm hearing right now. An average engineering graduate in electrical and electronics cannot even explain the mechanism of the electronic process I'm hearing. That summarizes the level of awareness that we have after the direction of in which the world is moving right now. You just ask yourself, what is the consciousness of the average Nigerian youth or Nigerian student growing up? What is the consciousness? let me finish, get a good job, and then I have a big house, I build the type of house I want, marry the type of house I want to marry, and not the rest of them. But the rest, we have to be babysit and fulfilled, by the same people we see we want to be like. Be like them is not for us to be using all the big phones in this world, riding all the big cars and all the rest of them. Be like them is being able to do the thing that they are doing. But unfortunately, this part of the world, from our home to the school, government, every sector of the society, apart from people like you guys that are always hosting programs like this, to raise the consciousness of the people, in our environment, the consciousness is just very low from our homes. Everybody wants to have let me my child be cute and after them nothing. And it's really bad. It's not just good at all. It does not speak well of a people that we are not enough, that we are not presenting the will a second time. So,
thank you so much.
Vincent. So that was more of a comment, but I think his point about that awareness is so low that even our electrical engineers probably don't even understand how these systems work. But I would actually like to counter that. Because in all on, we invest in companies that deliver solar products, right? Products and services. And we have over 40 investee companies. And 35 of those are Nigerian companies, Nigerian founders, Nigerian management, Nigerian owners. Many of them are young Nigerians, 30s and below. And these people have figured out, for example, how to manufacture solar panels in Nigeria cheaper than getting them from China. That's in Lagos. That's Oxano in Lagos. There's a company in Enugu called Greenidge. These guys are literally like 23, 24. They're making inverter systems from scratch. The only thing they import are the chips. They make everything else from local materials, and they're delivering world-class inverters, and it's like 30% cheaper than importing them from China. And then, on top of that, we have, companies delivering solar home systems, solar energy systems, mini grids that are Nigerian owned and operated, and these are brilliant young engineers and entrepreneurs that are just turning the country upside down. No other country in Africa has this. If you go to Kenya, most of these companies are, Wiebe people doing it. In Nigeria, it's Nigerians doing it, and doing it in a way that's beating international players at their own game. So I think we need to actually be proud of that. But then I think listeners, the sort of renewable energy conversation isn't just about buying the product and being a consumer of it. It's also being the ones to improve the technology, to build the technology, to deliver it, to become entrepreneurs in that space.
Exactly.
And to build a career in that space.
And I think that's one of the things that, Vincent was trying to say, saying that, yes, there are some brilliant Nigerians, young Nigerians right now who are in that direction. But the average Nigerian, are they conscious about things like this? I mean, think about it in China. I was reading reports a couple of months ago about the average Chinese child who is innovative by nature. It's just inbuilt in them. Are we that way? Again, we're the biggest economy in Africa, for example. So in as much as we ought to be proud about, some of these successes, if you were to measure that.
I would argue that I'm sure the average young Nigerian is as innovative or more than the average Chinese.
They may be as innovative, but are they willing to pursue that? That's the question.
Okay, is it that are they willing, or is there the enabling environment to allow them to do that?
Maybe both.
And I think that's the bigger question. I think in China, there's probably a better enabling environment so that when that young person has that innovation, there's a whole process.
Right.
In Nigeria, unfortunately, you may have the most brilliant idea, but very few people are going to back you or going to give you the enabling environment you need to make it happen. But I would never say that Nigerians in general are less innovative or less. I mean, I think this is one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world, and innovation. Right. I mean, we have an early stage, it's basically an ideation stage program where we twice a year basically solicit applications from all over Nigeria. We get hundreds of proposals. Unfortunately, you can only pick 20 at a time, and then they go through a whole incubation process. And every single one of these businesses are just like, you just look at it and you're like, this is brilliant. How did these guys come up with this? And then, we're trying to create that enabling environment so that you can take that idea and build something out of it. But it's there. It is there, and it is really strong here.
Now, let's talk about that enabling environment, for just like you mentioned, for any idea whatsoever, if that is lacking, it makes it really difficult to break that glass ceiling. So how can we get, the country to that place? Now, I don't want to say the government right now, because again, it's a collective effort, right? So how can we get to that place where, we have that enabling environment that allows for this kind of expression, especially how it affects, renewable energy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it even starts with parents. And I think parents need to encourage innovation because it's risky, right? I mean, you'd probably rather your child studies medicine or whatever, and or becomes a lawyer, and then at least it's a very profession. You always have a job, and I don't know how supportive Nigerian parents are about innovation and your daughter comes to you and says, okay, I want to be an electrical engineer and I want to invent this and that. Like the typical Nigerian parent, would they say, okay, here's 200,000 naira, go build what you need to build? Or would it be like, come on, get out, go and please finish your medical application, please?
Right.
And so I think it starts there. And then once that's in place, I mean, there's a network of incubation hubs and sort of all that all over. I think there's hundreds of them that are there ready to support early ideas. But I think it's just you need kind of the support from the family and friends around you. Those are usually the people who provide the first investments in any new company. I mean, if you look at any successful company around the world, the first investment round is friends and family. Well, they say friends, families, and fools. But it's the people who are closest to you who say, oh, that's interesting, let's do that.
Sure.
So how many, let's just say you're a kid in maybe you're a teenager in a Sunday school class. Would the parents of your other Sunday school classmates like your idea and invest in you, or would they say, "Kai, this child is too young to do that"? You know what I mean? So I think we need to create that awareness also that look, ideas are value and can create a lot of wealth over time. So like even if it's a few 100,000 naira, believe in these young people and give them that money rather than just telling them to go and do what everybody else has done and go work at a bank or something.
Right. Now, let's talk about the role that, let's bring it down to the state level. Do you think perhaps there's a role that state governments can play to, maybe not just in creating enabling environments, but to also harness the benefits within the renewable energy space to afford for people within that space, that, geographical location to key into this, especially as it affects, awareness?
Yeah. Well, okay, for example, Lagos state government could just say, okay, every solar project in Lagos, you have to first order from Oxano because those are made in Lagos. Greenage, if you're ordering inverters for any project, any government project in the state, you have to buy locally from those guys, right? Just think about what that would do immediately for their business. Secondly, and just do that more broadly, in terms of, okay, well, who are the innovators locally that we can just source from?
Right.
Because it is often easier to just say, okay, just import everything from China, but look locally and see what is already being done here. Or look at how much we're importing of certain products and then say, okay, how can we get young people to invest in this and actually start manufacturing and stuff here. I mean, the other simple thing for a state government that they can do, and Lagos is actually trying to do this, that they're trying to uncouple from the, sort of federal oversight of everything related to power. And they're one of the elements of the bill they're putting in place is that diesel generators above 100 kilowatts will be banned.
No way.
If that gets passed, it completely opens the door then for a renewable revolution, right? And this whole issue of the diesel, it's no longer an issue because it's just illegal.
Right.
So sorry, you just can't have these generators.
Wow.
And then those are the massive kind of users of those $12 billion of diesel that's delivered every year. So states can do that. You can put in place those kinds of laws, and that of course helps your environment, but that also unlocks the renewable energy sector, because renewable energy is because it doesn't need to be part of a big grid and all that. It's the easiest sort of localized solution. And then the other could simply be, you say, okay, starting from here on, all state government facilities have to be on renewable energy, and source from, let's say, indigenous contractors and indigenous, solar providers. And that, from this year's budget, there will be no more budget for generator repair and things like that. Just in 1 or 2 years, you could make it take off and create jobs, improve the environment, and just make solar much more at scale and affordable. So it's not that hard.
Now, do you think that power should be decentralized? Do you think that would, help not just the power sector in Nigeria, but also help in pushing the renewable energy cause?
Yeah, I mean, look, the whole idea of a centralized national grid is completely outdated. And so all of the effort and the billions of dollars that are spent on repairing a national grid, in the end, even if it, we have like 13,000 megawatts of generation capacity for the grid. The transmission can only handle 7,000, and then we only deliver 4,000, and then I think half of that is what's actually paid for. So the whole system is broken, right? But even if the entire 13,000 megawatts was generated and distributed on the grid to consumers, we're still 185,000 megawatts short of what Nigeria needs, right?
Wow.
Because the usual calculation is you need 1,000 megawatts per million people, and that's to be like at the development level of South Africa, right? And in Nigeria, we have 4,000 megawatts for 200 million people. That's why our economy is so uncompetitive, right? And so even if we spend billions and fix the grid as it is so that it's 13,000 megawatts delivered, and we, get all excited and all that, we're still
lagging behind.
We're still slightly over 5% of what we need.
Right.
And so I think we need to just move beyond that and just uncouple it and say, look, every state have your own policies. No need to centralize the grid. If you want to, if you want, like a place like Lagos is highly congested, so you say, Ogun State, just put massive solar farms and then you can sell the power into Lagos. Or, northern Nigeria, obviously there's massive landmass, right?
Yeah.
We actually did a calculation that if you cover Daura local government with solar panels, you'll produce 30,000 megawatts, which is actually the government's target for what the grid should be. That's all you need. It's not that much.
So why are we not having this conversation at that level? Why aren't we weighing, weighing these ideas at that level? What really is the problem?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's that $12 billion of diesel money. I don't know.
So,
know. It's hard to understand why.
Interest or something.
Yeah, it's hard to understand. Yeah, I think we just need to keep asking the questions because it's not difficult.
Really isn't. Well, we're going to be wrapping up the conversation shortly. The numbers to call once again, 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003. You can also call 0817 923 0007 or 0817 923 0009. On WhatsApp, we've got some comments. This one here is from OC. OC says, you've said all, enabling environment. And this is from Joe from Oyibo. He says, last year, March, because of estimated bills from Oyibo Electricity Distribution Company, I spent almost 65,000 naira to buy prepaid meter in May. The power went off until now, and I depend on 5,000 naira weekly to power my generator. What type of country are we in?
Mm-hmm. Wait, how much did he say was the meter?
65,000.
See, and this is what's crazy, right? Because smart meters are now available. They cost maybe $30, which is what, 10,000 naira.
Wow.
And then it's all technology based. They're not hackable. But for some reason, our regulators don't allow those to be used. So
they don't allow them to be used. What's the reason behind that?
The meters that are allowed are these basically like old, outdated meters. It doesn't make any sense.
So this will be my final question. How can we get rid of these maybe political, maybe personal interests, so that we see our power sector in Nigeria moving at the maybe not at the pace, because again that may not be realistic to say at the pace of the world right now, but maybe trying to catch up, especially when it comes to renewable energy.
Well, I think what we need to do is, okay, even though the grid and all that is a problem, that you have this diesel distribution issue and all that, in the end of the day, we are free to use whatever power source you want to use, right? So I think as consumers, whether it's for your household or your business, you can say, you know what, the next time I buy a power system, it's not going to be a generator, it's going to be a solar system. And I'm doing that for a number of reasons, but also because it's now actually more affordable and it's better for me. And I think if that just becomes sort of the trend, eventually, the discos themselves will no longer even be relevant, because everyone will have just cut off from the disco and they'll just be powering themselves. And then eventually all of these things just sort of, and then, there's no diesel generators to deliver diesel to, there's no customers for the discos. And it's almost like you vote with your Naira and you buy the other product, so that change is forced, right? And I think that's what we have to do. Just make that decision on your own, for your own household, for your own business. And if millions and millions of people start doing that, people aren't buying generators, people aren't buying diesel, people aren't paying discos.
Just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time.
Indeed. Yeah. Let's hope and see that and pray that, a time like that comes where we see Nigerians taking this into their hands to bring about the change that they so desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Agreed.
It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Sorry, but I have to make a comment.
Yes, please.
So, I was born and raised in Plateau State. And right now, Rivers United is number 1 in the league table, and Plateau United is second. So my message from the people...
Oh, Lord.
My message, Plateau United is coming to... And I think we beat Rivers United just, like 2 weeks ago in Plateau. So, we're going to take this all the way through, and Plateau is going to win the league.
You're saying this in River States?
I'm saying this... I'm bold, right?
You are?
I'm bold. Yeah, so anyway, but just the message from Plateau is we're winning this trophy, and, you guys can dream, but it's not coming here.
Wow. We
All
take
right?
it up as a challenge.
But if you notice, even the colors of Nigeria Info are the same colors as Plateau United.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Boer, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. How can you be reached on social media?
It's Wiebe B _ Africa. So Wiebe is WIEBE B. So
Underscore.
Wiebe B _ Africa, yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
I think if you just type WIE, it's a weird name, so it's probably the only thing that will come up. And that's on Instagram and Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. He is the CEO, All On, and
Oh, and All On is at All On Energy.
on Instagram
That's
and
a good
Twitter
name.
as
Yeah,
well.
Yep.
So look out for his conversation on Power Solutions on Thursday, 1:30 p.m. as we always do at that time. 1 p.m. brings the news update, and right after, further conversations right here on the Sunny Side. I'm Gabriella. Don't go away.